Thank you, Raylan. That was exhaustive. Well, welcome, everybody. Good morning. It's so lovely to see you all. And yeah, welcome to Dharma Sunday. I'm wondering if there are any brand new people here. If you've never been to a Dharma Sunday, just for my curiosity, maybe raise your hand. Or is everybody here? Everyone here is an old pro at Dharma Sunday. Okay. Oh no, one person raised their hand. Welcome, Christine. So nice to have you here. And welcome to the group at Wonderwell as well. The Open Practice Weekend folks are with us, beaming in from Wonderwell. So we have Wonderwell on the spot. We have virtual Wonderwell where I'm sitting at the same time. So I'd like to start the morning just reviewing again just the order of business, shall we say. We're going to start with some practice together, and we'll take maybe 45 minutes for practice, and then we'll take a break for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll come back, and I have some thoughts to share with you, and then I'm going to open it up for conversation and connection and discussion, I hope. But I want to start with a moment of what we call Zoom gazing, which is just a few minutes of looking at each other in our little virtual realms and saying hello in silence, obviously, but just look around and see who's here with you in this field of energy, this community of care that we are bringing together on Sunday morning. And so if you're willing to turn on your camera just for a moment, that would be great. And if not, that's also fine. You don't have to. You're still held in our field of connection. But just take a little look around and see who's here. And perhaps if at a certain point you might just land on one person, somebody you don't know maybe, and send that person some good energy today, some warmth and ease and peace and connection. We'll just take a few moments for that. All right. Thank you. Thank you for starting out that way with me. So this morning for our practice, we are going to we're going to do some Tara practice, green Tara practice. And don't worry if that doesn't really mean anything to you. You'll see as we do it what we're doing. And I'm going to put a picture of green Tara, which I just have to give me just a second here to get to that. I forgot to pull it up earlier. If you look in the chat now, you will see that I put green Tara's mantra into the chat. And so that'll be part of what we're going to do. We're going to chant the mantra for a little bit of time. But the way we're going to do this is really kind of as a benefactor practice. So we're not doing a full-blown green Tara sadhana or anything like that. We're really just relaxing and connecting with the energy that green Tara represents, which is really our own, for today, the energy that I specifically want to call up for us in relation to green Tara is her energy of vibrant, growing fecundity, fertility, creativity, the energy of spring. You know, green Tara, for those of you who may not be familiar with her, is very much she's very much connected with the natural world. And so she's surrounded usually by flowers and leaves and trees. And at this time of year, when springtime is in the air, although if you're up where I am, springtime is not in the air quite as much as we would like it to be, but maybe we can consider this a way of calling in this vital green living energy of freshness and newness, of just reminding ourselves of the kind of ever renewing, ever growing power of our being and of the whole world, the whole natural world. And green Tara, for those of you who are not familiar with her, is also associated with protection from fear and from discomfort and dis-ease, which is certainly an emotion that I'm experiencing quite a bit of these days in our current environment. So when we visualize her, and I'm going to guide you through a visualization of her, first thing I want you to know is that you're not calling on some truly existing goddess or female Buddha, but you are calling on an image of an archetype that is a symbolic form that is used to remind us of the fact that these energies are part of who we actually are. So in a way, it's a way of pulling out your own capacity for creativity, for freshness, for newness, for connecting with the deep force and energy of your own becoming, and your own innate capacity for resilience and protection from fear, protection from dis-ease, and giving it a form that we can cultivate more of a relationship with those parts of ourselves through this form. So the form is a tool. And when we chant the mantra, what we're doing is we are calling up that energy within ourselves. We're connecting to it more and more deeply, because chanting a mantra creates vibrational energy throughout your body that is the energy of these same qualities that I was just describing. So I wanted to do a little bit of that this morning because I feel green Tara is a particularly powerful energy for us to be connecting with today and at this time. And I'll be talking more about it in the Dharma teaching after we do our practice. So if you look into your chat, you'll see that the mantra is there. It's Om Tara Tutare Ture Soha. Actually, I made a mistake with that. Hang on here. Thank you, Raylan. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. So go with Raylan's version there. I made a mistake in mine. And that's just so that you don't have to wonder what the mantra is. If you've never heard it before, you could write it down now and have it in front of you. And alternatively, too, you don't have to chant. You could just listen to the chanting and feel it in your body. But if you're inspired, I really invite you to do the chanting yourself. No one's going to hear you. And because it's much more powerful for generating the energy that green Tara represents in your body and in your experience. And now I want to share my screen just so you can see her. Those of you who may not be as familiar with her appearance, her name, what she looks like. And I'm giving you two images here. One is a the image on the right-hand side of your screen is a very traditional image of Green Tara, very beautiful image of her. And you don't have to look at this when we're doing the practice. I'll be describing it to you so that you can just generate as much of the visualization as will come to you in your own imagination. The image on the left is a little more evocative and more giving a feeling of just being connected with this vital blazing force of our own creative healing energy. So I wanted you to have both of them just as a way to feel into the energy that we're evoking from within ourselves when we do this practice. And you also are welcome to look at the images as we're doing the practice and use them as a guide to help you with your own visualization. But don't worry if you feel like you can't hold the visualization or keep the visualization in any concrete form. In fact, you don't want it to be concrete. It's much better if all you have even is a sense of this vital green force, this force of nature, this powerful energy of compassion and protection from fear and vital energy. And that could just be kind of like you sense something in the space in front of you and you feel it. But if you want to go with the visualization, it's such a beautiful visualization and something that, Green Tara is really the patron saint of Wonderwell and Natural Dharma Fellowship. So I felt like we needed a little of her today. All right, that was a long introduction to what we're doing. So now we're going to settle into some practice, and you can turn away from your screen if you'd like to do that. You certainly don't have to look at it. And we're going to start with just some grounding and connecting to our bodies and our breath and settling of the busy thinking energy. So just take a moment to find a comfortable position, whatever that is for you this morning. And you just want to have your spine upright, but relaxed. And we're going to take 3 deep body breaths as a way to just really settle into the direct sensation of your own embodiment. So breathing in a long, deep inhale, down into the belly, and on the exhale, just relaxing and releasing, letting all the energy drop down through your body. And another long, deep inhale. And on the exhale, releasing and relaxing, dropping down into the feeling of the body, muscles dropping down, relaxing. One more long, deep inhale. And releasing, settling down into the feeling of your body as you're sitting on the cushion or the chair. Really let that sense of dropping down through the body, letting your awareness float down through the body just as if you had poured a handful of salt into a warm glass of water. All thoughts, all busyness, all tension just dissolving down into the feeling of your body, and particularly whatever sensation you notice at the base of your body, where your body meets the cushion or the chair. Just let your attention drop right into that sensation. It doesn't matter what the sensation is. Could be pressure, feeling of tingling or warmth. Just letting your attention really settle right with that sensation. Whenever you notice that you've become distracted and taken away from that sensation by thoughts, just allow the sensation at the base of the body to draw you back to it like a magnet. And as you're settling with this sensation, noticing the body's natural groundedness, your connection down into the earth below, body held to the earth by gravity. And becoming aware too of the feeling of the breath, feeling of the breath as it flows into the body and as it flows out of the body. So letting your awareness expand so that you are aware of the feeling of the body breathing. Really staying present with that overall feeling of the body breathing, breath flowing in and breath flowing out. And just being a body breathing. And now in the space in front of you, maybe slightly above you, I'm going to visualize the form of green Tara. She is seated on 1,000-petaled lotus, a white lotus, on a moon disk seat. And her body is a body of green gold light. She has one face and two dark eyes that are gazing at you. And behind those eyes, you can see into a vast forest of trees and leaves and flowers and vines. And she has two arms. Her right arm is extended out over her right knee in the gesture of generosity and offering. And her left hand is held up by her heart center, holding the stem of a dark blue Utpala flower that blooms only under the full moon. She wears a crown of 5 colored jewels that symbolizes her manifestation of the 5 Buddha wisdoms, the clarified energy of the 5 elements. Her right leg is slightly extended in front of her, which shows her willingness to step into the world of suffering with compassion and care. And her left leg is drawn up against her body in the posture of meditative equipoise, which shows her groundedness in the awakening essence of her own being. Her long dark hair flows down over her shoulders, and she's wearing silken scarves and garments that are waving gently in an unseen breeze. And from her body of green gold light, and from those dark eyes that are gazing at you with love and care, seeing you exactly as you are, in all of your dignity, your creativity, your aliveness, and your worth, your deep intrinsic worth. From her body come rays of green gold light, like rays of warm sunlight, that dissolve into all the cells of your body, filling you with a sense of your own energy of becoming, your capacity for resilience and freshness, imbuing you with the power of your own capacity to manifest love and wisdom in this world. And as we receive her rays of green gold energy, this radiant warmth into our bodies, we'll chant her mantra. Om Tare Tu, Tare Tu Re, So 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 Om Tare tu, Tare tu re. So hum 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 Tare tu, Tare tu re. So receiving that flow of warm, radiant, green, gold light into all the cells of your body, into any feelings of fear or resistance or anxiety, any places that need to be enlivened, encouraged, and made resilient. Om Tare tu, Tare tu re. So hum 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 tare tu, tare tu re. So noticing the vibration of this compassionate, creative, vital energy throughout your body. The radiant green light of Tara still flowing into you. Reminding you of who you really are. Now that radiant green gold light becomes even brighter, warmer, like a flow of emerald, shining energy. And it becomes so bright that it begins to dissolve the form of green Tara in front of you into green gold light. And all of that light in turn dissolves into you, your body filled with green gold, vibratory energy. The awakening energy of spring. Welcome back, everybody. I think most people are back. All right, so I'm going to share just a few thoughts with you all for this morning. I've been thinking a lot about the fact that it's springtime. It's supposed to be springtime up here in northern New Hampshire. We just got 5 inches of snow yesterday, so it's a little challenging to actually feel the fact that it's springtime. But tomorrow is supposed to be 60 degrees and sunny, so I'm really looking forward to that. Um, the vernal equinox has passed, and there is a sense, that something new and fresh is moving through the environment. There's an energy of awakening and of life returning, pushing up out of the darkness, back into the light. And so I was thinking about spring as sort of a metaphor for how we might find a way of being in this particular time when I'm sure, I'm not just speaking for myself, when I can say that I'm feeling, destabilized and distracted and scattered by all of the very challenging changes and news that is coming towards us, really struggling with the different events that are unfolding and the uncertainty and the anxiety that that brings about. Even waking up some days with a sense of anxiety or fear, depression, heaviness, and kind of wondering like how am I going to be? How do I move forward? And there can be a kind of feeling of being drained of life force and energy and feeling sort of exhausted and defeated and uncertain about what to do and how to do it. And so I was just thinking about how we could sort of shift our focus a little bit. And, it feels really important to me that at this time that we give at least as much energy to focusing on the power and the beauty and the magic and the endless creativity that is unfolding as spring returns to the world, as we give to it's the seeming breakdown of so many aspects of our society and our planet. And really to remember that there is transformative power in the visions that we're holding of reality. Um, you know, Even though there are certain persons in our current world situation that would really prefer that we spend all of our time, energy, and focus on them and on the negative feelings that their actions bring up in us, I think we need to remember that we have a choice in how we respond, and that we can choose to harness other energies and ways of being. I'm sort of thinking of this as like an activism of the soul. And one of the ways that I envision this activism of the soul is to begin to connect to this energy of spring, right? The spring is a time of rebirth, a time of renewal, of new beginnings, of growth, of transformation, transition. It's really a time of awakening when we can feel the movement of spirit both within our own being and in the world. The energy of life is coming forward. And as that new energy is awakening, then that's a very fertile time for planting new ideas and new dreams. There's a kind of fresh, warm energy. We can more easily connect to that feeling of just being alive, being inspired. And it's really the case that as the world returns to or, certainly this hemisphere at least is returning to life out of the winter, that parts of us are also awakening and being reborn in ways that they never have before. Even if it feels familiar, it's always new, right? Every moment is a brand new moment. So it feels worth it to ask, what are the seeds that I want to plant now and nurture into the future? And where do I want to see new growth in my life and in my relationships and in my work or in my family? And what old energies can I begin to release and let go of? And there's a sense that, spring is revealing this kind of deep time awareness of the life force of the planet, which is not different from the life force of our own innermost being. And so as we are feeling that awareness growing and moving inside of us, whatever seeds we plant now will begin to germinate and begin to grow. And I was thinking of the title of one of Dylan Thomas's poems, which it actually doesn't really have a title. It's one of those poems that has a first line, and that is the title of the poem. And so this first line is, "The force that through the green fuse drives the flower." The force that through the green fuse drives the flower, which I love. The rest of the poem is kind of depressing, but that first line is actually really inspiring. The force that through the green fuse drives the flower. And what I want to point our attention to this morning is this notion of a green force or energy of life that is carrying us, that is enlivening and awakening and encouraging us. And one of the ways this green force is been described historically is through the notion of what's called viriditas, viriditas, Veriditas, viriditas, which is derived from the Latin word that means greenness, greenness. And it's describing a kind of divine force that brings life and growth and healing to all of creation. It's referring to the power actually of plants to bring forth, to push forth leaves and flowers and fruit, but it's an analogous to this deeper intrinsic power in beings, sentient beings, to grow and to heal and to awaken physically and spiritually. And this term viriditas, it was, I don't know if popularized is exactly the right word, but it was used extensively by an early 12th century mystic, female mystic, Hildegard of Bingen. Maybe some of you have heard of her. Her writings are really quite remarkable. She was the abbess of a Benedictine nunnery, and she was also an herbalist and a medicinal plant doctor who became well known for her healing powers. And she used this term viriditas to signify this greening power, or from her perspective, the life-giving force of divinity, which was with an emphasis on vitality and fecundity and growth in both the physical and the spiritual realms of our being. So viriditas as a concept is capturing this notion of the living light that breathes in all beings and that flows through everything that is alive. And so, when we get caught up and dragged down by all of the challenges and the heaviness of what is unfolding in our world, this notion of viriditas can help remind us of this living presence that is breathing in us and through us, and that moves us from within. So just in the same way that in spring, nature is constantly renewing itself, so too our innermost being has this capacity to blossom. It has this greening power of renewal. And in some ways you could say maybe it's a way of understanding the energy of human flourishing, or really the flourishing of all beings. And Hildegard's concept of viriditas, it's teaching a kind of holistic understanding of the universe, where we're being asked to recognize how both the inner and the outer worlds are interconnected. The microcosm reflects the macrocosm and vice versa, that there's really no difference here when we tune into the way that we are already coterminous with the universe. Then we start to feel when the energy of life force is moving in the earth, also it is moving in us. And so viriditas is synonymous with this power that we have to expand into new horizons and to heal ourselves from disease and fear. And maybe, like I said before, to plant our spiritual garden, right, at this time of energetic refreshment and energetic clarity. And another way to conceive of this idea of viriditas is that it's describing this energy of authentic presence that is always present in us and that sustains us and nourishes us. And when we experience this energy of authentic presence, it can remind us of the inseparability between the sacred, the sense of the sacred, and the natural world and our own path. And when I say sacred, I just mean, to view one's experience and one's world as sacred is to recognize the potential for awakening that is present in every aspect of our experience, that we see into the power of the phenomenal world and its capacity to actually help us on our awakening, on our path. And that's seeing the world as sacred. And in Tibetan Buddhism, there's a term for authentic presence, it's a kind of funny word, wangtang. Wangtang, Wangthang, wangtang. This word means authentic presence or authentic being. And it refers to this deep energy of our being that is always flowing forth, always becoming. And actually the word itself, wangtang, in Tibetan means field of power or field of energy. So it's referring to the fact that each of us has this intrinsic inner force, this life force. It's like the power of you, not the power of the ego self, but the power that a much deeper, more primordial spring of energy that is continuously renewing itself. It's a capacity that we each possess to manifest in this world as a being of love and compassion and wisdom. So maybe another way you could say it's like the energy of the power of the soul. And wangtang refers to this kind of primordial confidence, a deep, unshakable enthusiasm that arises very naturally when we are synchronized with in body, speech, and mind, and with the outer world. So when we touch that sense of synchronization, where we come into harmony with things as they are, we're touching into this notion of authentic presence. And we discover in that space that we're not bound anymore by our fear or our anxiety or our depression or our, whatever it is, our greed, right? That those things may be maybe part of our experience, but that there's something stronger and more um, powerfully enduring that is arising continuously from within us that enables us to manifest and express the qualities of our basic goodness, of who we really are. And I really love the idea of this of Wangtang as field of power, that there's a way in which when we're really synchronized with ourselves and with our world, when we're connected and interconnected, that there's a radiating quality to our being, a radiating of confidence, a radiating of gentleness, a radiating of presence, a radiating of interest and generosity, and that this is a way that our field of power is manifesting. And this is something that, you know, we have felt when we're in the presence of those who are at a point in their development or on their path where they are naturally synchronized and connected to this deeper energy. So you may know people in your life that you feel this kind of radiating energy of connection, of kindness, of compassion, of, I mean, you know, and there's sort of obvious examples like the Dalai Lama. Like if you're just to be in a room with the Dalai Lama, which is all I've ever had the opportunity to do, is to be in quite a large, actually, teaching with him. But man, the energy in that space that was just radiating out of that being, so strong. This energy of beautiful compassion and just availability. Or, you know, you can think of like, you know, and I mean, I don't know, personally, I was never around Mother Teresa, but I've heard stories of people having that same kind of recognition that there's a field of energy around these beings that is palpable to others. They can feel that, they can touch into that and experience that. And maybe you have some examples from your own life. I always think too of Anam Thupten Rinpoche, who teaches with NDF at different times, but teaches all over the place. And he has a very strong, radiating field of energy, of love and humor and joy and, you know, this kind of delight in just being alive and connected with the display of you know, of life. So that kind of, in a sense, there's something like those, when we really can connect with our authentic presence, that we naturally begin to radiate this field of authenticity, this energy of beingness that is by its very nature inspiring and uplifting. And in a sense, challenging too. Like there's a sort of challenge to that energy, not in a combative way, but when you're around somebody who's radiating like that, or you feel that, then there's almost this desire to kind of begin to match that energy, because we have that energy. We all have that energy. And so there's a kind of desire to find a way to step into that stream ourselves, to let that stream from within us come forward and join with the stream of that energy that we're feeling from the seeming other. So to connect to that authentic presence can be it can be quite transformative. And it, like I said, is always there. It's not like we don't have it. It's stronger or weaker depending on our sense of connection with ourselves and with the universe, you know, how we feel connected. And Wangtang emerges and it's stabilized when we open our hearts to the world around us. And particularly, we can contact it when we open our hearts to the natural world. And we let that world in to touch us and to break our hearts and to open us and start to inhabit what one of my teachers has called the tender heart of sadness. You know, that there's a way in which this life does break our hearts. Even if we weren't facing into the challenges that we are, just the mere fact of the briefness, the transitoriness of this life and the loss that we have to experience as part of the human condition. That there's a kind of heartbreak that is always there, and that is actually the biggest gift in a way that we can have. It's this allows us this capacity to connect to the tenderness of what it means to be here for just such a brief time, and loving just for such a brief time, and seeing, the blue of the sky for such a short time, and the feeling the heat of the sun. There's this sense of like the power of that love that we have for our experience is, in a way, because we know it's not permanent and we can't hang on to it, that there's this tenderness, this tender heart of sadness. And when we connect to that, we are connecting with this field of power that is also available and palpable in this greening energy of spring and this life force, which is fueling new growth in the world. So, it's like we're always poised on the edge of becoming something, right? We're always greening. We're always right in the greening moment, even in the darkness of the winter. But it's very, very palpable and available in the spring. These days it seems sort of unfortunate that we are experiencing many examples of inauthentic presence, which is a kind of narcissistic focus on embellishing and shoring up a feeling of authenticity, but it's based in pride and self-centeredness and aggression and greed and possessiveness. And what really gives rise to genuine authentic presence is not a collecting and amassing of more, but of emptying out and letting go. So connecting to our authentic presence doesn't arise when we add more things to do, or more qualities that we should be to feel better about ourselves or to feel more impressive. But actually, it comes about through the opposite of that. It comes about when we begin to let go and we release everything that is not authentic within us, all the ways that we turn on ourselves, all the ways that we are aggressive towards ourselves, all the ways that we have unrealistic expectations for how we should be in the world, releasing those constrictions on our sense of being. And we really find authentic presence when we really begin to relax into the present moment, right? It's very, very present in the moment, the present moment. It's not in the past, it's not in the future. It's here in the vividness and the energetic strength of being in the present moment. And when we're really fully in the present moment, there's a sense of energy and delight, and of upliftedness and gentleness, and an appreciation of the sacredness and the power of this existence. And the more we begin to rest in that authenticness, that vital, creative becoming part of ourselves, because in the present moment, we're not a fixed situation, right? It's like a river. Can you find the present in the river? It's a continuous flow. So it's a way of discovering how to ride the present situation, ride the waves, the flow of this life. And in that sense, then we're no longer kind of overwhelmed by what's coming towards us, because we have a way of being that is flexible, creative, vital, open, and spacious. There's more space to allow the challenges not to stick so thickly or strongly, shall we say. So, just to continue this just for a few more minutes, this notion of authentic presence. It has two ways of manifesting, you could say. One is in our relationship to the world, and the other is in our relationship to ourselves. So, in relation to the seemingly outer world, right, to other people, to phenomena, to situations, to our life circumstances, when we can relax into our own authentic being, connect to this deep, growing, greening energy force, this field of energy that we are always manifesting, then our relationship to the world has four different kinds of four qualities. One is there is more openness and hospitality, so that there's more of a sense of willingness to invite the world in and not feel the need to be so guarded and scared. But there's an openness and a kind of generosity to others and to situations. The second is that there's a feeling of integrity, right? That we are in an honest and direct relationship with the world, one that doesn't seek to fool anybody or deceive ourselves or others, right? There's a very kind of straightforward capacity to share what needs to be shared, to do what needs to be done. And again, so this means potentially acting in ways that may, be strong, fierce compassion. The notion of the first quality I said of openness and hospitality doesn't mean you just take in everything that's harmful and dangerous and destructive about what's going on at all. It just more means you're willing to hold that whole picture. But this notion of integrity is that one acts in the ways that are appropriate to reduce harm and to move a situation towards health, towards healing, towards benefit. So there's just this kind of clarity around what are the appropriate actions that need to be taken in the face of certain situations. And then the third is a feeling of, or a sense of exertion and joy. So in the Buddhist tradition, we talk about the experience of exertion, right? That one is exerting oneself on the path. One is putting effort and energy into practice, into cultivation of the self, into awakening. And that part of that exertion ultimately is a joyful thing. That there's something wholesome and fresh about enacting a process that is leading to full unification with oneself and with others, full awakening. It's like drinking fresh water. It makes you feel good to exert yourself in those ways. And even though it takes effort, there's a kind of joyfulness to this effort because it's effort in the direction of wholeness. And then the fourth quality of relationship with the world is that our whole life then is held with a sense of deep appreciation and respect for oneself, respect for the world, respect for an appreciation for how it is that life unfolds in such a way that we're forced to grow up and awaken if we really are on a path, if we really take what's coming as material for an opportunity for awakening, that there's appreciation that it's actually like that. And it isn't just a random, soulless situation, but there is something bigger happening. So those are the 4 qualities that go with authentic presence in terms of relating to the world, relating to others. And then I'm going to just name some qualities that have to do with the relationship to the self when we can really connect with our authentic presence. And part of the connecting with the self, with authentic presence, is that it has to do with, again, this notion of emptying out or letting go, of trying to shore up and build from the self-centered perspective. So it's a kind of non-fixation that is allowing for an inner environment that is much more spacious and open. And out of that openness then comes this experience of authentic presence. So a few of the qualities, there are actually a lot, and I don't want to go through all of them, but I'm going to just give you a few. So one is this relationship of simplicity to oneself, because one has given up so much of the complication that is part of the selfing process, the fixating process. There's a simplicity and an openness in one's relationship to oneself. And actually the word in Tibetan is really beautiful for this. It's how do I pronounce it? Prodral. No, Sprodral? Forgot how it's actually pronounced. Spros. See if you can figure out how to pronounce that. Sprodral. Bral, which is actually pronounced dral. Sprodral, which means simplicity. But what it actually means is that it's a spreading out. It's a spreading out. That the field of simplicity is very vast. And that one just is what one is. And one doesn't have to work hard to be something else. A kind of very simplistic and non-fabricated way of being in relationship to oneself. So we can just say simplicity. Another quality of authentic presence in relation to the self is this notion of humor. Humor, and that there's a willingness to find some joy and some to see past the eternal gravity of the situation and to find some lightness, to recognize that, we're in this process, these processes continue, and that yet, even though there is a kind of serious dimension, obviously, to a lot of our lives and what we're experiencing, there also is some levity. And without the fixation on things having to be a certain way for myself in the way that I want them to be, there's much more space and opportunity for humor. And so therefore there's more relaxation, And together with that is this quality that you might call of delight. And again, this is a nice Tibetan word, which means, again, to spread out, a spreading out of cheerfulness, actually. That there's less weight on oneself. One feels less burdened. when we really are caught up and fixated on something, some feeling, some distressing situations, there's a kind of heaviness. And but when we can connect to this inner dignity, this inner confidence, this inner vitality, then there's more opportunity for feeling the lightness of this being. That there's something lighter to our being than just the heavy gravitas of every thing that's happening. And the reason I'm emphasizing these qualities is because, as I said from the very beginning, where do we want to turn our attention in the context in which we're living, right? We could focus all the time on the heavy and the difficult and the challenging and the painful. And we're encouraged to do that. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, because we have to be aware of what's happening, and we need to feel the challenge. But we can also, at the same time, or in addition, remember that we can focus on these other aspects of what this life is all about and what the world is showing us, teaching us all the time, because that is going to be just as important in transforming our situation as a kind of deep, heavy focus on the difficult. Maybe the last quality that I'll share, and then that will be enough from me here, in this relationship to this self, is a sense of daring, that one feels not only able to exchange oneself for others, in the sense that there's a kind of profound generosity and willingness to be available to others, but there's also a willingness to stretch beyond our comfort zones, right? To give up the secret places where we get to hide out and escape, and that we're willing to have, we're willing to have that extra conversation with somebody who wants to talk with us, even when we just really want to go home and put our feet up, and relax. But so there's a kind of daring, a willingness to step past where we might normally think, I can't do anymore, or I can't be anymore, or I can't respond anymore. So it's a further letting go of personal territory and the desire to kind of keep the self intact in a certain way that feels comfortable. And that's in increments. We just play with that. How daring can I be with myself? How far beyond what I feel I'm capable of can I stretch? In light of what's needed, and in light of what I can offer. So all of those qualities, the qualities of how we are in relationship to the world, qualities of how we are in relationship to ourselves, they are manifestations of this notion of authentic presence. And one, very strong way to begin to feel authentic presence is connecting with this sense of viriditas, this stirring of energy within us, this greening power, this growing power, this creative power. In some ways it kind of describes the readiness of plants to receive the light and energy of the sun, right? And to use that light and energy to grow and to transform. So there's this ongoing connection that summons up our inner energy, this activism of the soul, an inner voice that is calling to us to become who we are and become all that we are, to arise in our authentic presence. So just, for going forward from today, if you find yourself intrigued by any of this, you could ask yourself, what does it mean to embody this greening verdancy, this what is it like? What does it feel like to be rooted in the sun and shining with radiant light? How does it feel to be filled with viriditas, with this creative power or force of life, this divine greening energy? And how does that affect our feelings of malaise or outrage or fear or anxiety? How does it affect our relationships? How does it affect our communities, our families? We all possess this viriditas, this authentic presence, this creative life power. Um, and, so ask yourself in your, where are the parts in me that feel like they need renewal, that they're in need of, where am I in need of greening? And what's in the way, right? What needs to be, kind of worked through to order to experience this sacred greening within. So that's the invitation for this morning, is to just tune into accessing this inner force, this authentic presence, this energy, this field of power, and that the natural world is here to help us and is displaying that for us every moment of every day as we move forward into the warmer days and warmer months. So I'm going to stop there and invite anybody who might have a comment or a question. Folks at Wonderwell, I'll let Andrea raise a hand from there if anyone has a question from Wonderwell or a comment. The floor is open, so to speak. I see Sheila.
Thank you so much, Lama Liz, for this idea of greening. I love it. I just wanted to toss in a comment that Robert Thurman made in a Facebook post right after things started to go sour. He said, "Don't let them steal our happiness."
Yeah.
Goes right along with what you said, and lots of stuff to practice here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That summed up my whole talk in one sentence. How Robert Thurman-esque.
Barbara? Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I should turn on there we go.
Hi, Barbara.
Thank you so much. This has been such a beautiful Sunday morning, and I chose a very specific sort of activity to do. And your choice of topic today was totally apropos of what I was doing. I'm stirring some compost, making a liquid preparation for my garden. And so it takes an hour to stir, and you need to be very meditative while you do this. And it's a compost that takes about a year to make underground, and then you dig it up, and I've been stirring it in lukewarm water for an hour. And so it's just this perfect meditative moment. And you're speaking about green tare today. So I'm looking out on my field. And so I just had this beautiful meditation as I'm stirring, and I'm envisioning her. And when we were done, I kind of glanced away and looked back, and a bald eagle came into my field on my bluebird box. I mean, I see bald eagles, but not in my field. And it's been here with us the whole time. So
wow, that's so great.
Yeah, it just is really just this, really beautiful sight to have. So I want to thank you for that too.
Well, thank the natural world for that one.
But usually a big flock of crows come in and chase it away. They're called a murder of crows.
Yes,
So I'm like,
that's
oh,
right.
here comes the murder. So there's like, I don't know, starting with 4 and then 10, whatever. But they decided to just let the bald eagle stay there, which was
Oh,
really wild too. So just tons of gratitude. I guess I'm not bringing much more into the conversation, but just letting you know how your influence is just so beautiful. So you're going to be influencing my garden, my food garden. I grow most of my own food, so you're going to be influencing my food garden this year. One final question is, I'm wondering if we can, and you probably said it and I missed it, the translation actually of our mantra.
it's just her name.
It's just her name over
It's
and over, and I was
well,
okay.
it's her name, and it's also actually Om Tara Tutare. It actually is calling on the protection from fear aspect of her. So it's O Tara, protect me from fear. O Tara, protect me from fear. Um, that's what
Yeah.
it's saying.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just missed that comment of yours earlier on, so I'm glad we revisited. Okay,
yeah.
thank you. I'll
No,
bow out.
I didn't say it before, so I'm glad you asked. And thank you so much for that story. And in fact, it illustrated your story illustrates what I'm trying to point to is that this is available right at our fingertips, right at our door all the time. You know, this energy that we can remind ourselves that is coming up in us and is coming up in the world. So, you know, I love that you not only had the outside world inside the house in terms of mixing up this compost solution, but then what was happening outside and what was happening in you is perfect illustration. So thank you.
I teach a lot of young farmers these practices, and everything you said today is completely translatable into opening yourself to the farm,
Oh,
capturing
wonderful.
the energy. So that will get completely integrated into my teachings in May, June, and July. Yeah, here in Maine. I'm in Maine, so thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much. And I see Elizabeth.
Like others, I want to thank you, Lama Liz. There was so much in today's talk that was so ethereal, but there was so much that was so concrete and usable in these difficult times. So I want to thank you for that. And I also want to reflect back that those many qualities you talked about in the Dalai Lama and others whom we meet, and in their presence we feel sacredness, are ones that I have always felt in your presence. And so, thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That's very sweet. Susan.
Thank you so much. I felt so uplifted, inspired by your talk. And synchronicity happens sometimes in my life. And a few weeks ago, I was at a garden center and I saw this beautiful flag that you put up in your garden. And it said, "Where flowers bloom, so does hope." And had beautiful flowers. And the quote was from Lady Bird Johnson.
Oh,
She loved nature. And
right.
I was just thinking how I needed that to see that every time I come into my condo, like I
Yeah.
did it for me, but now there are all these young kids roaming around the condo. We have a lot of new families. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool, to have that available. It's a very beautiful little flag, and it really is our inspiration. I mean,
Yeah.
because everything is so dire, and I do succumb to fear.
Yeah. Yeah. I do know. Oh,
So it's a perfect little synchronicity. I really appreciate you so much. Thank you.
oh, thank you, Susan. And I just think your point is so right on. As we've been saying, we do have to consciously turn our attention towards sources of renewal and creativity and hope and inspiration. We have to do that. We can't just get sucked down the drain of, yeah, you know what, that's
Yeah, yeah,
flowing.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And Judith.
Hi, Lama Liz.
Hi, Judith.
Thank you so much. I'd just like to add my voice to the appreciation of the real practical things that we can do. And it was so inspiring to be reminded that these are within us. These are not out there somewhere, and to just to begin to really feel them. And so your talk really inspired me. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Judith, and thank you for highlighting that point, because it is so important that we know that these things are part of us. We're not looking for something that we don't already possess. We're just strengthening it, pulling it forward into the foreground so that it can be more available and present. Yeah, thank you.
It looks like we have a question in Wonderwell, and then we'll come back to Cindy.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thanks. This is Shemalaya.
Hi.
I've just been reflecting as you've been talking and people have been sharing about the just amazing aspects of seeds themselves. You know, there are seeds like lotus seeds can last and sprout after 1,000 years. I mean, there's cases of that, and there are seeds that require forest fire to sprout, and and for me that's really helpful to remember that too, that even the winter and the chaos and what may seem like interminable waiting is preparation for that growth and that greening too. And so I just wanted to offer that reflection.
And wasn't it you, Shamalaya, that told me that there have been studies now of seeds that show that they actually communicate in underground with each other to decide whether one is going to sprout or whether the whole group is going to sprout together? That there's actually like this energetic communication between the seeds that are dormant in the earth right at the time when they're, coming into sprouting. Did you tell me that? Somebody told me that recently.
Yes, it was me.
I was like, I forgot to mention that. I just think that is, very beautiful reminder as well. Thank you so much. Cindy.
Good morning, Lama Liz, and good morning, everyone. Lama Liz, thank you so very, very much. Your words this morning in this talk, or rather your talk, gave words to a transition I'm in the midst of, which uplifted it even more for me. Yeah, I don't know. It really uplifted the energy of what I'm going through, and makes it sparkle. I just really appreciate that. Thank you. And also I have a question. When you were talking about humor, I think it was the humor and delight, and you were talking about a Tibetan word for spreading.
Right. It's that.
I don't think I heard the word.
It is. It's that word that I can't remember how to pronounce. I think it's.
No, this was after that.
No, I know, but it is the same. Okay. It's not. The first word is spurdraal, and the second word is just spurwa. But I can't remember. I feel so silly that I can't remember how to pronounce it.
You're allowed.
It like went right out of my head. It's not coming back.
I understand perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. And Hela.
Another one at Wonderwell.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep. This is Caroline. I'm here at Wonderwell with Tara has my back right now, which is something I often think anyway. But I was at the hands-off protest last weekend, which I had been really looking forward to because I've been so angry and so discouraged. And I thought that boy, it's going to feel really good to get out there and chant really loudly and scream and make noise. And it was terrible weather. It didn't feel like spring at all. It was sleeting and freezing cold, and there was thousands of people in Providence, Rhode Island. And I screamed, and yeah, that felt really good. And we chanted and we said a lot of things, but I just couldn't stop smiling. The whole experience was just so uplifting. And then I looked around, and a lot of people felt that way. A lot of people were just so, and I don't know if it was the impending spring that induced that, because I've been to protests and I've never, I mean, at the Women's March, I cried, but I've never felt just so like delighted by a situation as I did last weekend, with just so many thousands of people coming out in the terrible weather and all kind of wanting a better world for all sentient beings and non-sentient beings. So it was something that I've been thinking about also. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Caroline. Yeah, and that group energy of that is, when we all orient in the same direction, there's a lot of power and there's a lot of joy in that, that there's the vision for life and for hope and for transformation is very contagious and very inspiring. This sort of collective effervescence, as Durkheim would say. So thank you. I think
But
that's,
I've
I
noticed
think,
with the benefactor practice how contagious smiles can be.
yeah.
And everybody in the whole crowd was smiling in the freezing rain. It was really wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Hela.
Hi, Lama.
Hi.
It's nice to see you. Thank you so much for your talk. In the spirit of daring and sharing more of myself with the world, I just wanted to comment. What's alive for me from your talk is the sense of reverence, how these processes are always unfolding, and how when we are in the depth of winter, we want the spring to come, but actually winter takes its course and spring will come after that course has taken. And so when we are confronted in our lives with these forces of darkness that are moving, our natural tendency is to try and change the situation and to feel a sense of almost impatience and wanting, that comes from the goodness of our heart to basically, influence the situation somehow, to change it for the better, to bring forth what's springing, bring all these qualities. But actually the situation has its own process, and will take its own course. And when I confront that in my life, I can sometimes see those qualities of impatience and wanting things. And I recognize that actually, nature doesn't hurry in the same way. Those processes will not hurry and will take their course. And how to be with that darkness for the amount of time that it will take for that darkness to take its course. And I think there's a sense of reverence for that. It gives me goosebumps to think that or to even be in touch with the fact that that's the process it's going through. And, rather than feeling a sense of impatience with it all, but, I'm going to do my bit, but it's just going to take its course.
Yeah. Oh, you said that so beautifully. Thank you very much for that reminder. And just the sense of encouragement that you shared to trust that we do what we can, and there's a bigger process underway that we have to learn from and trust is in motion. Things are unfolding and changing and freeing us from them in their own space and time. We can't force the winter away. As you say, we have to wait for this deeper energy to come through and to enliven and green again the surface of the earth. And the same in ourselves. When we go through our own dark night of the soul, we have to still we do what we can, and then we allow the energy of life to carry us. And I just think you said that so beautifully. Thank you so much for reminding us of that. And Diana, and then I think we're going to have to stop, everybody. We're past time here. And I want to read you one final little poem as a dedication of merit.
Thank you, Lama Liz. What really touched me today, in a way it hasn't before, is the idea of being rooted in the sun, radiating the light. And in fact, it brought to mind a reading I was touched by a couple days ago. And the reading was The Solace of Snakes by Kathleen Dean Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So this book is Wild Comfort.
Yeah, I love this book. Yeah.
It's amazing. So she was talking about snakes and the fact that we have snakes in our cells because we used to be a snake in evolution. And so when snakes are in the sun, just imagine that. She was holding a snake in the sun, and the snake uncoils, and it's still, and it's warm, and it basks in the warmth.
Right.
That is my image that I am taking with me.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. Let's bask. Let's bask.
Yeah.
Which means, and shed the old skin as well.
Yes. That's even better to think of shedding the skin being part of that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much, Diana. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for being here this morning. And I want to dedicate the merit of our time together by reading you this poem. So our dedication is going to be this little poem instead of our usual dedication. And so I'm going to invite you just to close your eyes and just listen. Hildur sent me this poem. Those of you who know her, it's such a beautiful, beautiful poem, which I think is very apropos to what we've been talking about today. And so may the benefit of whatever has arisen here today be of joy and cheer to all beings. So, all right, close your eyes. Here's our little dedication poem. Don't fear, sleepless one. Your joy spark still lives in you, but you may have to go look for it. Here's how. Close your eyes and walk straight into the wilderness of your imagination. Find a clearing in the woods of your heart and whisper, "Come back, little blaze. I'm ready to glow again." Then take a long breath and watch how the fireflies pour out of the trees to come dress you up in light and a longing to fire dance with wonder again. Have a beautiful day, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Stay green.
Thank you, everyone.